Well, at the moment, what we're showing is our concept car. We created it really to celebrate 100 years of Bentley, but also look forward to the next 100 years. So this is pitched at 2035, 16 years in the future. It's not just a visionary concept, it's really a statement of intent of where Bentley wants to be. So this is about the future of sustainable luxury, about the future of sustainable luxury travel, and the way and the experiences and the way that Bentley moves forward with those times.
Okay, I have a million questions for you. John, I got to ask you, when you think about the exterior of this car and the materials on this car, it gave me the chills. It was almost as if life stopped for just a moment when this came down the street in New York City, and a chance for you to see it against the architecture.
In context, we've never seen the car between the buildings. It's absolutely stunning. And now the sun's out, it's shining on the car. It's really exciting to see the forms. What we tried to do is make something that was so dramatic that you couldn't stop looking at it. We've taken all the inspiration from cars from the past and we mixed it up with really interesting and modern kind of inspirational elements from the future. So it's this melding one foot in the past, but then one foot very much in the future. So a big dramatic coupe, long lines, huge surfaces, and the same continues into the interior of the car. We're playing with a lot of beautiful materials. We've got copper, we've got aluminium, all in their raw form, so it's very sustainable. We've got paint, which is the base coat is made out of rice husk, so it's also a sustainable material. And the whole story is built around the fact that the person, the driver, or the passenger is at the very center of the experience.
There's a chance that this car is going to be completely driving itself in 15 years. We don't know exactly what's in store.
So this is a vision of what we think mobility will be like for Bentley in the next 15 years. We think that the driver will want to drive, but we give them an opportunity to be a passenger as well. It's this dichotomy. So we're not abandoning the experience of driving, which is a huge part of what cars are about. But we also allow you to lean back, relax, almost like in a private jet, and just enjoy the experience.
You talked a little bit also about the fact that these cars are going to be communicating with pedestrians. What do you mean by that?
In the future, when cars are driving around, people need to know what's going on. So we've got huge screen on the front, which replaces a grille, because we don't need a grille anymore in the traditional sense. But we need that icon. We want to remain an iconic face of Bentley. So we've got the large lights, we've got a large grille, and it's basically a three-dimensional screen which communicates with pedestrians to show that you recognize them and communicate with other cars to show that you recognize them as well. The same is on the rear of the car. So effectively, we've got screens on the outside of the car.
Let's walk around the car. Let's take a look as we're talking about all this.
So what we wanted to do is we wanted to play with what was glass, what was interior, and what was exterior. So what you see from the rear of the car is a huge amount of glazing. We've got copper and aluminium interlaced with it, and then you've got this beautiful chandelier feature inside. So you started to see the interior and the exterior working together. And you've got themes on the outside of the car, like the vent going in and outside and the C-pillar. You've also got that texture, those diamonds which are kind of leading into the interior. And Brett and myself worked very closely to make sure that these themes were working interior and exterior. The car was designed together. Both of them was very, very well integrated. So Brett, maybe you can tell us about.
Well, I think that was the beginning point, is that when the door opens, this dramatic door, you immediately feel this is still a Bentley. What you're looking at here is an interior layout. This is showing a 3-seat configuration, but that front seat moves backwards. The steering wheel goes through the bulkhead. So the majority that's when it's in an autonomous mode, you would have no steering wheel there whatsoever, and you can have full luxury 2-seat. Of course, we wanted to have driving capability, so the seat moves forward and can deploy a secondary seat behind it. So you can have 2, 3, or 4-seat configuration, depending on the customer needs. And of course, we've enveloped the whole interior in sustainable materials. So we've approached the car as a vision of Bentley's future, but a sustainable future, luxury. And that's done through, yes, zero emissions through the electric powertrain. So it's a full electric car. And we're also looking at the materials. So you see all of the wood in the car. So that wood is 5,500-year-old oak. That's been pulled out of the fenlands in Cambridge. We then took that oak. It was dried over a couple of years. We then impregnated it with copper, which was recycled from all of the copper elements, exterior and interior. That stabilized the wood and allowed us to use it for the milling of all of the components on the wing, the seats, and the center console. So this is really giving new life, new version of luxury, something that's very valuable, completely unique to every car. And that's just really the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the materials. We collaborated with a lighting artist, both on the exterior and through the interior, to bring everything to life. So the artificial intelligence on the inside of the car which we show through these two centerpieces, one in the front and one in the rear, where you have these crystal rings. Those were hand-blown crystal made with a company just 2 hours north from our base in Crewe. Cumbria Crystal are the kind of last of the full crystal houses. Those pieces were all hand-blown, hand-cut, and then linked with the artist and the lighting artist that we worked with to bring those things to life, to look like the intelligence of the car, and to really signify how in the future you can voice command, gesture command, and interact with the whole car.
It's unbelievable. I can't think of a time where I've felt this way of looking at a vehicle. What is it like to collaborate for the two of you? So Brett and John, to collaborate on something so spectacular, and it's the EXP 100 GT. It's just around the corner. It's not like we're talking about what we think cars are going to look like in 100 years. We're talking 15 years, maybe less.
This really, it signifies the journey we're going to take now. Bentleys will start to look like this, right? We're not building this exact car necessarily, but we're looking at what this would mean for Bentley. So as an exploration into form, like you say, collaboration. What is the new collaboration? We're talking about collaborating with the design of the light. I mean, that's something very new. Elements are creating this kind of new vision for Bentley, how we're working sustainably, how we're working with the collaboration. Yes, we have traditional materials, but we're also interlacing that with the experience you would have with new kind of humanized technical details as well. So yeah, we're really excited about how this will mean, what it will mean for us designing next GT and these cars like that.
So there's a lot of what we may be seeing not only in 2035, but in the next couple of years, right? You're learning more and more as you design what's in the future, and that future can be as soon as tomorrow.
We really do think that this is a step change for Bentley. This represents really like a vision for what we want to achieve. And we're very, very excited. And the year and a half that it took to develop this car, we had those experiments. We were talking with collaborators. We were talking with each other. We made sure that the story was very complete, that when we did celebrate 100 years, we were celebrating in a very convincing way.
Well, before we go, I do want to make sure that we pay respect to the last 100 years. How much does it mean to you to spend time with these vintage cars, to see, and as I said to John earlier, we were standing next to one of the most beautiful cars, the Continental downstairs, where we were standing in front of the Continental, and I thought, well, listen, maybe 75 years ago, somebody was standing in front of that Continental feeling the same way that we feel that we're standing in front of this GT. So the history of these cars and seeing their lines, how much of an inspiration is that to you, and how meaningful is it?
I think it's at the very bedrock of the inspiration. As designers, we take in inspiration from all kinds of areas, but in the real foundation, it has to be the heritage that we have. And when we have a rich heritage, like within Bentley, why would you ignore it? Why would you want to move away? I think the next steps in design are about making sure that we embody that beauty, that elegance into future mobility, taking the very best of our DNA and always making it relevant for the future in a sustainable way.
Thanks, Brett. And John, designing the exteriors of these cars, what are some of the words and adjectives that come to your mind that you want people to feel when their eyes stumble upon a breathtaking Bentley?
We're talking about a luxurious vehicle, right? So the surfaces are luxurious, the details are luxurious, but we've got the detail down to a fine art with Bentley. The interior has always been exquisite, the attention to detail. We wanted to draw that out to the exterior as well. You mentioned the cars of old. We're talking about the R-Type Continental, and the surfaces, the details, the precision that you're getting from these hand-built cars. We're about that exact same thing today, but it has to manifests itself in a slightly different way. So we're talking about the technology and how we can add that craftsmanship to the technology, to the materials. So we are taking that philosophy, the philosophy we've had for 100 years, and we're really expressing that today in a kind of a slightly new, but very, very, very contemporary way.
It's breathtaking. It's as if I'm standing with modern-day Beethoven and Bach. I want to thank everybody for joining us as we celebrate the last 100 years of Bentley and the future of this iconic, breathtaking brand.